Hi folks, welcome to our best Italian wine tasting kit. Coming up, you've got our 6 drink-along videos with a little bit more information on all the wines in your kit. Enjoy. This is the Terra Allegra Sangiovese from Puglia in Italy.
Yes, Sangiovese is the grape here, an Italian classic, most famous for being the red grape found in all Chiantis. Chianti is a region, not a grape, and all its red wines are made from Sangiovese. For this Sangiovese, however, we are in a different part of the country, right down south of Italy in the region of Puglia, a Smash Grape's favourite.
Now, I know that Chianti is a DOC region, much like the famous regions of France like Bordeaux and Burgundy, with strict and frankly overcomplicated classification structures. One of the more stuffy Italia regions, shall we say. Whereas Puglia is a bit of a Wild West. How did Sangiovese make its way down there?
To be honest, this is the first I've known of Sangiovese in Puglia. What we know about Puglia is it's very hot and very rugged. For grapes to do well in Puglia, they have to be as hard as nails and have a very tough exterior. In fact, the 2 reds most famous from the region are Negro Amaro and Primitivo. Primitivo being the Italian and original name for Zinfandel, the big beast of a red wine found in California, which gets made into awful rosé. Both Negro Amaro and Primitivo are massive red wines. The Puglian heat makes them melt into jammy, rich, spicy, velvety delights. A Sangiovese planted in this region is going to be a little bit less of a beast, but still collect some of those jammy flavours.
Ah, jammy. A word we love at the moment when it comes to red wines. So I guess we could think of Sangiovese in Puglia a bit like a Brit abroad, coming down to spend a couple of weeks on the Costa Brava, getting a bit burnt, soaking up some of the culture.
Perhaps the most perfect tasting note I've ever heard. This Sangiovese, unlike the high acid, high tannin wines of Chianti, is intense with hints of jam, velvety sweet tannins, and at 12%, unlike most of the monsters from Puglia, highly drinkable.
And what will this be highly drinkable with?
If you're planning on really taking your time with a classic Italian beef ragu, this is the wine to do it with.
Oof, all over that.
Cheers.
This is the Palazzo del Marerosso from Sicily in Italy.
Yes, Nera d'Avola here, the red Italian grape you've never heard of, as it's only found in its native home on the island of Sicily. Sicily is a fantastic winemaking region deep in the heart of the Mediterranean. This volcanic island is very exposed and super hot, meaning grapes get plenty ripe and full of flavour. Nera d'Avola is a full-bodied red with tons of dark fruit but silky smooth tannins. Excellent for lovers of Argentinian Malbec.
I mean, hang on a minute, Sam. If my geography serves me right, Sicily sits about as far south as the top of Africa. You know, that's a stone's throw from Tunisia. Surely that is too hot for decent winemaking.
Very good, Daniel. You're absolutely right, but Sicily has an ace up its sleeve. The same technique used by the Chileans, and that is altitude. These vines will have been planted 200 to 300 metres above sea level, up on Mount Etna. During the day, this doesn't do a lot, but at night, altitude creates what is called in the wine game large diurnal change. That's the technical term for nights that are a lot colder than the days. This pattern of hot in the day and cold at night is perfect for slowing down the ripening process of grapes, which in turn increases the fruity flavour.
Very nice. Is it me though, or does this wine have something spicy or kind of licoricey going on?
You are on fire today, Dan. Yes, a brief spell in French oak for this wine not only adds that spicy flavour, but also smooths out the tannins. That's the bitterness you get from the thick-skinned grapes. Nera d'Avola needs thick skins to cope with the heat. Again, slow ripening can mitigate the bitterness you get as a result, but a bit of oak also helps to create that velvety feeling in the mouth.
Excellent. And, what am I pairing this one with then?
Nera d'Avola is a great wine for red meat, but perhaps a little leaner than a steak. My personal favourite is the humble burger. If you really want to take it up a notch, melted blue cheese in there, game changer.
Oof, very, very good indeed. Cheers. This is the Altipiano Montepulciano di Abruzzo from Abruzzo in Italy.
Yes, Abruzzo, a largish region just south of the centre of the country and with a coastline with the Adriatic Sea to the east. A region that is home to many well-known and less-known Italian grape varieties, but its most famous has to be Montepulciano.
Okay, so Montepulciano is the grape. Why do I always see it written with de Abruzzo after?
Yeah, so it's a little confusing. Montepulciano d'Abruzzo is a region, not a grape. It's a DOP region, which means it's accredited for quality wine making. The wine is, however, made from 100% Montepulciano, the grape. Even more confusingly, there is also a place in Italy called Montepulciano, but that's miles away from Abruzzo, so we'll ignore that for now. Montepulciano is a real mouthful of flavour, with red fruit, black fruit, herbs, spices, and even smokiness. It's a meal in a glass.
Ooh. And the winery here is one we're very familiar with, isn't it? Fuedo Antico, one of the first wineries in Italy to start operating organically, sustainably, and with zero impact, achieving in 2013 the Magis certification, Italy's highest accolade for sustainability in wine production, which for these guys actually came pretty easily, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, that's right. There are some wine regions for which organic and sustainable practices come very easily, and that's because most unorganic or unsustainable methods come as a result of tackling pests, drought, or both. Abruzzo as a region is extremely fertile, beautiful green spaces, rugged mountains, and most importantly, plenty of sun, just the right amount of rain. These all add up to little intervention being needed to maintain a crop, and as a result, great working practices.
That all sounds very, very good. What am I drinking this one with?
For me, Montepulciano is a go-to if I'm really putting some effort into Italian food, like lasagna from scratch or a bolognese I've slaved over for some time. Most of it's gone before the dinner's ready though.
I mean, that is a story I know all too well.
Cheers.
This is Baglio Gibellina Frappato from Sicily in Italy.
Yes, Frappato, a rich and fruity native red grape to Sicily, a country that for decades has been mass-producing grapes for one use only. It's fortified cooking wine, Marsala.
Marsala wine. Never actually drank it. It's one of those things that a Jamie Oliver recipe will tell you need for some sticky ribs or something. I'll buy a bottle from the supermarket, cheap as possible, put a splash in, and then the rest of it just gets dusty at the back of the cupboard for years. Does anyone actually drink that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I never have. Same story here, just for cooking, but I believe people do drink it with like cheese and charcuterie. It was the biggest export of Sicily for quite some time, and the grape growing required to make it was not particularly high quality. The thing about Sicily is it has almost perfect climate for growing wine grapes in vast quantities. Great for mass production, but not always a great standard, as quality grapes actually prefer to struggle a little. It's only recently that the Sicilian government decided to step in and subsidise growers so that they could grow less grapes, focus on quality, and move away from Marsala and into table wine. The result has been some amazing and great value vino. It's one of our favourite regions.
I mean, absolutely, yeah. I'm a big fan of Sicilian reds. This one is excellent. You know, it's packed with fruity flavour, but actually really light and drinkable. That Sicilian climate is also excellent for growing organically, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, that's right. Most pesticides in winemaking are used to combat the moulds and mildews brought on by damp weather. Sicily is hot and dry and has an almost 360-degree Mediterranean Sea breeze, which literally gives the grapes a good airing and makes sure mould doesn't set in. As a result, a big percentage of Sicilian wine is organic, just because it's easy to do so rather than any effort to get with the times.
I mean, that's great stuff. What can I drink this one with?
Frappato is actually, as you say, very drinkable for such a hot climate wine. The slight sweetness reminds me of a good pizza sauce. For me, it's great with a midweek pizza delivery.
Oof, I'm ordering mine now.
Cheers.
This is Maebis Vascado Nerapasso from Veneto in Italy.
That's right, the Vascado family, one of the first families in Veneto to start making wine over 150 years ago. Now leaders in two types of wine that the region is famous for, Amarone and Soave. They make some of the world's best and fairly pricey it is too. However, keen to stay close to their roots, they have a trio of wines, red, white and rosé, that use all of their wealth of experience to create tasty but accessible vino. This is their red and we love it.
Okay, yeah, so I do know this one, and if we're talking Amarone, it's a blend of red grapes, but it's all about the winemaking process though, right?
Correct, with a slight twist. We've got two of the most commonly used grapes in Amarone winemaking, Corvinone and Corvina, with some Cabernet Sauvignon for good measure. This type of blend goes into making a famous wine for the region, Valpolicella, the most famous and expensive of which is Amarone della Valpolicella. What makes it Amarone is a technique called ripasso or appassimento, where they dry the grapes out first to concentrate the sugars and flavour. It reduces the water content by up to 40% before they even start the winemaking. As a result, you get wines that are really concentrated and jammy, full of dark fruit flavour, but you get that without needing to be in a particularly hot region.
Okay, so look, if we're getting all that jammy flavour without the weather needing to be scorching hot, I guess the grapes don't need particularly thick skins, which is why this wine is so drinkable.
Absolutely. Grapes from hot climates need the skins to survive. Thick skins mean those bitter, astringent tannins that not everyone is into. Here we don't have that. The same deep dark flavour is achieved in a much cooler climate thanks to the appassimento method. It's so easy going, you can just drink more and more.
And what am I going to drink more and more with?
All sorts really. It's an Italian great. Pasta, all sorts of cheese, roasted meats with rich gravies.
I'll have one of everything, please.
Cheers.
This is Electric Bee Primitivo from Puglia in Italy.
Yes, Primitivo, the signature grape of this southern Italian region, but perhaps more famously known as Zinfandel. This grape actually started its life in Croatia with a name that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. It very much made its home in Puglia, however the Californians have made it their own under their own name.
Okay, but hang on. When I think of California Zinfandel, I think of that questionably cheap, neon pink, sweet rosé, more than often consumed out of a box as pre-drinks by students. Surely this is not the same thing.
Well, actually, what we call white Zinfandel is made from the same grape. However, red Zinfandel wines make up some of California's best and most prestigious vino. Very good if you love big jammy reds. We see a little red Zinfandel in the UK, but not a huge amount, and the good ones tend to be expensive, as good American wine does cost a fair bit.
So can we expect the same from this Primitivo?
Absolutely. Puglia is one of Italia's hottest regions. It's desert-like, not dissimilar to California. As a result, those dark fruit flavours become rich and jammy in the sun. Puglia is also a fantastic region for full-bodied Italian reds on a budget. It's a region with some of the fewest DOCs or accredited regions. Winemaking is considered rustic, but don't let that put you off. When would you ever turn down rustic Italian cooking with generations of experience? The same applies for the winemaking.
Okay, I mean, also, half of Italy's olive oil is produced in Puglia, so there's a little fact for you to take home with you.
What would I do without your contribution to these tastings?
Well, you know, look, you're welcome. It's big, it's fruity, it's surprisingly easy going for this part of the world. Not the beast I was probably expecting, actually.
Yeah, for sure. It's been very carefully managed by the winemaker. Lots of coastline for cooling sea breezes here, stretching out that ripening process to mean that it doesn't reach peak jam before those thick skins and bitter tannins have been well mellowed out.
Okay. I mean, you know, I'm feeling pretty mellow after a few glugs of this. You know, what can I pair that with?
Rich red sauces, and I don't mean Heinz, anything with tons of tomatoes in.
Oh, delightful.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching our drink along videos. We hope you enjoyed the wine. Don't forget to come back and spend your £10 voucher on your favourites.